Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Pribhacharya Ashtotara Shatashi Mat Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishnu Vishnupada Ashtotara Shatashi Mat Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vindi Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. Glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru, Shri Gaurang.
Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate to have amongst us His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami Maharaj. Maharaj was born in USA and studied nuclear physics at Purdue University. After becoming disenchanted with science, he transferred to the University of Texas, where he made contact with the Hare Krishna movement. But it was later during his military service in Panama when this encounter with ISKCON changed his life dramatically. Upon concluding his military service, Maharaj joined a pioneering group of Krishna devotees in Central America stationed in San Jose, Costa Rica. He attended the 1976 Mayapur Vrindavan festival and was initiated by Srila Prabhupada there. He received sannyas initiation in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 1982. Maharaj's early contribution in ISKCON Costa Rica centered on administrative services and distributing BBT publications beginning in 1975 in the US and from 1976 to 1978 in Central America. Became the temple president of Costa Rica Temple in 1978. And then Maharaj began traveling around in Latin America, opening new temples, establishing centers, and collaborating in diverse administrative services. In 1987, he became the member of GBC with zonal assignments in Tucson area of Arizona and Mexico. He is co-zonal secretary for EI Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Panama, Belize, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Colombia, Trinidad, Tobago, and Venezuela. Maharaj is interested in essential role that communication plays in ISKCON's progress and in the lives of individuals associated with it. Maharaj seeks to assist devotees cooperate in harmony personally and collectively through his clear and open communication. Maharaj's website is gpswami.org/English. Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate to have Maharaj amongst us. So let us welcome Maharaj heartfully by once chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. All that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is Srila Prabhupada's mercy. No. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 21st chapter, text number 25. tat prajabatri pindatam swatam evanusuyava kuruta doksha jadiyas tarhi menugrahakta tat prajabatri pindatam swatam evanusuyava kuruta doksha jadiyas tarhi menugrahakta Prajabatri pindatham swatam evanusuyava kuruta doksha jadhyas tarhi menugrahakta. Prajabati pindatham kuruta doksha jadhyas tarhi menugrahakta. Prajabati pindatham swatam evanusuyava kuruta doksha jadhyas Tahimenu Gramya. Vaishnavi, that therefore, Praja, my dear citizens, Bhatri of the Master, in the Artam, welfare after death, Swa Artam, own interest, Eva, certainly, Anasuyava, without being envious, Puruta, just execute, Adokshaja, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Diya, thinking of Him, Tarhi, therefore, may unto me, Anugrah, mercy, Krita, being done. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Prithu Maharaj continued, therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashram, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests, and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death. Everyone can please repeat. Prithu Maharaj continued. Therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashram, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests, and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death. Purport. The words adoksaja dhiya, meaning Krishna consciousness, are very important in this verse. The king and the citizens should both be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, both of them will be doomed to lower species of life after death. A responsible government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. Prithu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness. And he was also very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. A summary of Krishna consciousness is given in Bhagavad Gita. Yad karoshi yadashnasi yajjohosi dadasi yat tapasyasvi konteya yat tat kurushva mararpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, and whatever penances you undergo should be done in Krishna consciousness or for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If all the people of the state, including the government servants, are taught the techniques of spiritual life, then although everyone is liable to be punished in different ways by the stringent laws of material nature, they will not be implicated. Om Ajnanatimandasya Kinanjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Vichaitanya Manobishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dalati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyareshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, in the first line of this verse, Tatpaja Bhartri Hindhartam, King Prithu Maharaj is speaking of responsibility to the elders, to the seniors. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also taught this by his own example. He, of course, his real reason to go to Gaya was to meet Ishvara Puri and to introduce the chanting of the holy name. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his main purpose is always to bless the living entities. But he also accomplishes other things, like giving an example. Just like here in India, still there is respect for the elders, respect for seniors. In the West, not so much. Everyone wants to be equal. And we all are equal. Krishna says that this is the vision of a devotee, that Brahmabhutta prasanatma nashochati nakangshati sama sarvashu bhuteshu. Yes, we see everyone equally on the spiritual platform. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmani gavi hastini. We see them. We see the elephant there. Swapache, the dog eater. And we see them all equally on the spiritual platform. But as Srila Prabhupada said, don't embrace a tiger. So You can see the tiger, yes, spiritually equal, but I don't want to embrace him. Unless you're, like here we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you're that potent, then you can embrace the tiger. But otherwise, better not. So, this is very important. He's instructing the citizens that you must protect the king. Of course, in the previous verse, it speaks about bad kings. And bad kings are, this is in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam. It says that Kali Yuga, tatas chanudhinam dharma, that day by day dharma will diminish. Satyam, shocham, kshama, daya. That the four pillars of religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, austerity, and mercy will all diminish. Kalena balina rajan. By the force of Kali Yuga, these things will be eliminated. Nangshat yahor balam shvitaha. And especially the lifespan will be decreased. Strength, not only physical strength, but spiritual strength. And shvitihi, remembrance. Remembrance. In the Padma Purana, it says, Shrotavya satatam Vishnu vishmarto vyo na jatu chit, that we should, the two most important things, and the most important thing to remember, always remember Krishna. You should always remember Krishna and never forget him. So it seems like, well, if I'm remembering Krishna, how can I forget him? No. But what it means is, in practical terms of our Krishna consciousness movement, never to forget Krishna means we always chant minimum 16 rounds. No, not maximum 16, minimum 16. We should chant more. Prabhupada said many times that we should chant more. But the only reason we chant 16 is because we're engaged in so many services. The Grihastas are engaged in serving the family and making the family Krishna conscious. And they have a special challenge to chant 16 rounds because it's one thing is if you're a brahmachari or a Sevite in the temple, you're always with the deities, you're always in the kitchen cooking for Krishna. Everything is directly related to Krishna. But in the purport here, Srila Prabhupada is especially speaking about the Grihastha, that Yat Karoshi Arashnasi, everything you do, everything you eat. Sometimes they have to do business. They may have to go to a restaurant, with the business people. Brahmacharis have no business in the restaurant, except for Govinda's maybe, but no other restaurant. But the Grihastha may have to go. Of course, Prabhupada sometimes when he was traveling, he wouldn't go to a restaurant, but he would buy samosas on the train stand. One time, one devotee bought samosas for Prabhupada said to get them, and so he put them on the seat of the train with a little picture of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, "What are you doing?" He said, "You just Hare Krishna, Shri Vishnu. What can you do?" They're not really offerable in one sense, but because it's an emergency, we have to eat something. One time Prabhupada told one devotee, they were in the mango grove coming from Mayapur to Calcutta. And then, so one devotee, they had some fruit. There wasn't mango season. And so he was preparing to offer it. And Prabhupada just took it and said, "You offer it on the way down. Otherwise, when you're traveling, it's not practical to set up an altar. If you can do it, but it should be a proper altar, not on the seat, the train seat. No, that's not a proper altar." So anyway, the point is that we should always take prasadam. But if somehow or another one has to eat an emergency, then one has to remember Krishna. Yad johosi dadasi yat. Everything you give away, everything you give away should be done. Otherwise, what do we give away? well, especially now in Prabhupada Marathon, we give Prabhupada's books. We give them away, and we hope someone will give something back. Some uh, some Lakshmi, and yat tapasya svikonteya. O Arjuna, any austerity you should do, you shouldn't do austerities separate from Krishna consciousness. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jnanayadyasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chaya Dahaitukam. The only austerity that a devotee does is an austerity that comes from Krishna consciousness. We don't do extraneous, outside austerities. Rupa Goswami said this will make the heart very hard. We do austerities that are required for Krishna consciousness. The first austerity, one time a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what austerity should we do? And Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna. And then he said, but beside that, Prabhupada, he said, chant more. Otherwise, in Kali Yuga, we're such a fallen condition that it's very difficult for us to chant the holy name. We find so many reasons not to. Or sometimes when chanting, I see devotees, they have the bead bang hanging on their hand, but they're talking and, doing so many things. So it's like a hand cover. But no, we should chant the holy name very seriously. First thing in the morning. Even if you're living outside, which most people do nowadays, like saying living outside as if it were something different, we should say, and those that live inside, because that's the minority. They may not be able to chant at as early as devotees in the temple, but should be the first activity of the day. Because whatever you do in the beginning of the day, that is your sankalpa. That is what you're dedicating this day to. So if the first thing we do is grab the cell phone and check our messages, then that's what we'll be thinking about all day. Or the first thing you do is have breakfast. Some people are like that. They get up, first thing they do, have breakfast. Then you'll be thinking about food all day. So, and to make sure that we do that, I always recommend the last thing you do every day is hear about Krishna. When I joined Krishna consciousness, every day, every night, everybody would sit together in the temple. We would have some milk prasadam and hear Krishna book for 45 minutes. And then when you get up, you want to chant. If you think about Krishna, but if you're on Facebook at the end, then the first thing you'll think about in the morning is, what did so and so do finally? What happened? What did they say? And then your whole day is in the mode of passion and ignorance. But if we chant, then our whole day will be in the mode of goodness, sattva guna, or better, vishuddha sattva, beyond the gunas. Krishna recommends that, beyond the gunas. Nirdvando nitya sattvashto, always situated in pure goodness, beyond duality. So this respect, and then swartam, eva anus swartam, one should do what is one's own interest. One's own interest means we should act according to varna and ashram. Of course, a devotee, Srila Prabhupada, in his Varnashram talks, he said, this doesn't really pertain to us in the sense that a devotee is willing to do anything for Krishna. If we have to clean the floor, if we have to go on the altar, if we have to take out the garbage, because it's for Krishna, we can do any of these things. Not that we're like, no, I can only do business because I'm a Vaishya, and so, that's very good. I'm a Vaishya, I can only do business. Only I can make money. No. Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya, and he was a Kshatriya also because he was the king of the Vaishyas. So Nobody, very rarely is one purely in one varna. No, we may purely be in one ashram, but not in one varna. Very difficult. So it's mixed sometimes. But his main thing was just thinking about Krishna, just worrying about Krishna, just providing for Krishna. Of course, Krishna is providing for everyone. But a devotee thinks that, no, I have to serve Krishna. We have to offer every time exactly on the right time because Krishna is hungry. Krishna doesn't have to eat, but he wants to eat. And he wants to eat on our altar or in someone's altar at home because he wants to engage you in devotional service. He wants you to meditate on him. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada has emphasized here the words adokshaja diya. And adokshaja, Prithu Maharaj uses the word adokshaja, ada aksha aja, meaning beyond beyond the vision of the senses, beyond the possibility of the senses. We want to understand that we don't have a full conception of Krishna, and therefore we're always anxious to serve, to hear about Krishna, to do something in Krishna consciousness, because and very important here, eva anasuyavata. You must perform Krishna consciousness, and you must perform your varna and your ashram. He uses this word anasuyava after swartam, after the varna and the ashram. Why? We should not be proud. Oh, I'm a Brahmin, or I'm a Kshatriya, or I'm a Vaishya. Not many people are proud of being a Shudra, but of course in Kali Yuga, being a Shudra is an elevated platform because the one quality of Shudras is obedient. And practically speaking, we are not obedient. If we were obedient, we would follow everything that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Just like I was speaking yesterday, Krishna says, Nirmamo nirahankara, no possessiveness and no ahankar, no false ego. So how many of us are on that platform? Therefore, we're not very good at following, so we're not even qualified as Shudras. Kalo Shudra Sambhava. In Kali Yuga, that's the most elevated platform. So honestly, you should not be envious of others. We should not think that others, Krishna says, idam tatte guyatamam prabhaksham yanasuyave. Oh Arjuna, I am giving you this guyatama. I'm giving you the most secret, the most elevated secret knowledge. Rajavijja Raja Guyam. I will explain to you the intricacies of Krishna consciousness, which is secret. Secret doesn't mean that it's hidden away from the vision of the people in general, but it is hidden away from their understanding. It can only be understood, as Krishna says. It can only be understood by rahasyam idam uttamam. That I will reveal this to you. Why? Bhaktosi me sakachati. Because you are my devotee and you are my friend. Krishna says, Sridham Sarva Bhutanam. I am the friend of every living entity. And we have to realize that Krishna is our best friend. Our best friend will always give us the best thing for us. And therefore, if we realize that Krishna is our best friend, we should be very willing to accept everything that Krishna says, just like Lord Brahma. Tatenu kampam susamikshamana bhunjane vatmapitam vipakam. He says that whatever mercy that Krishna gives us, in whatever form it comes, I'm very anxious. And he mentions eva artakritam, that it may come, it may not be so pleasurable. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that the uh, he said that uh, the first two elements of surrender, anukulyasya sankalpam, partikulyasya varjanam, that the first two elements of surrender is whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, even if I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like to get up at 3 a.m. I don't like to do this. But no, if it's favorable for Krishna consciousness, you must do it. If Krishna wants it. And patikulya savarjanam. And you should give up anything that is not favorable for Krishna, even if I like it very much. That's what we've all done. We've all given up something. This is the proper austerity. We give up whatever is necessary to enhance our Krishna consciousness. Therefore, it's coming from bhakti. Everything is coming from bhakti. Uh, so, just like Lord Chaitanya said, he, just like here and in the last two verses, and this verse a little bit, is speaking about a proper, responsible king. In Kali Yuga, the kings are not responsible. It says in the 12th canto that Prajahi Lubdo Rajanyayar, that due to very greedy kings, the people will be harassed. Near Grinayar, Dasyu Dharma Bhi. The kings or the so-called leaders are like thieves. Dashu Prayashu Rajasu. Practically speaking, all of them are no better than thieves. And so they don't give people what they should be receiving according to the religious principles. And achchina dhara dravena. They will exploit people. They will separate husband from wife, and they will separate people from their property. So many taxes and so many harassment. One time Srila Prabhupada said, just like in India, they are imposing so many taxes that the business people are not encouraged to do business because you have to pay taxes. What he meant was everybody does it on the black market because too many taxes. If you impose too many taxes, then people will simply cheat, especially if they don't see the benefit of those taxes. Like we see people imposing taxes, but there's not so much benefit. This is very common all over the world nowadays. And so then what will happen? Yashanti Giri Kananam. The people will flee to the mountains, to the forests. Otherwise, people will be so frustrated that they have to escape. Imagine the government is supposed to be protecting us, and they're escaping the government. As Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajar shayo vidu, that the duty of the king is to maintain parampara. There are two types of parampara. One is the parampara, governmental parampara. There should be responsible leaders. They should be trained properly. And also it's the duty of the king to make sure that the spiritual parampara is properly maintained, that the Brahmins have facility for doing yajna. This whole part of Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj, he took over the kingdom. And he saw that the citizens were not happy. The citizens there was no proper elements for sacrifice, and everyone was disturbed. So he challenged the earth. He said, challenge Bhumi Devi. Bhumi Devi is like a mother. She's our mother, one of our mothers. So he's challenging the mother. That's not very normal that you challenge the mother. Of course, if the mother is not giving us Krishna consciousness, just like Srila Prabhupada says here, the king and the citizen, so the mother and the children, they should both be Krishna conscious. But he was so angry that the people were being deprived of basic element, food and clothing, and that he challenged the earth. You must do your duty. The king also, if a Brahmin is acting irresponsibly, the king challenges them. He makes sure they do their duty. But the main way he does that is to make sure that they have all facility. So he has to maintain the parampara. And therefore he should be Raja Rishi. He should not be Raja, just Raja, like Duryodhana. He was Raja and no Rishi. And of course, some kings, they're more Rishi than Raja, and they may not get the job done. Maybe even sometimes many of our GBC members are not so inclined to management. So anyway, this is a hard thing to do in Kali Yuga, to find Raja Rishis. And so, very irresponsible. Just like Jamunacharya, when he was challenged by Kolahara, he was challenged that, he said, I challenge you to a debate. And one of the questions was, he said, please refute this statement. The king is pious. So the Brahmin thought, how can I say anything? And he said, and the king's wife is chaste. And I'm going to say she's not chaste? I'm going to refute that? And he said, and your mother is barren. I'm going to refute that? That means I wasn't born. But Jamunacharya was very intelligent. He said, yes, because your mother only had one child in Manusamhita. That means that she's barren. And that the king is pious. Yes, our king is very wonderful, but the king has to receive 1/6 of all pious activities of the citizens and 1/6 of their sinful activities. Therefore, we are in Kali Yuga. There will be much more sinful activity, and therefore the king is impious. So this is the what to speak of if the king is already impious. Manda sumanda mateo. People in general are spiritually lazy, and the leaders are spiritually bereft of any. They have no spirituality. Even here in India, many different times, parties have come in, and they don't want to be religious. They think religion is holding us back. It's keeping us from being like other super developed countries. But you look at Kumbh Mela. Like in India, there may be some defects as far as certain way things go. But Kumbh Mela, millions of people come and everything is perfectly organized. Perfectly organized. Why? Because these people are naturally inclined spiritually. It's in the genes. It's genetically there. You can't change that. And why can't you change it? Because Krishna appeared here. Because Narayan appeared here. Because the Dasavatar appeared here. They didn't appear in USA, or Europe or Africa. They appeared here. Now they have appeared everywhere by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the point is that the king should be responsible. And because the kings are not responsible, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Hamkarimu Bhakti Bhava Angikare, that I myself will personally accept the position, the mood, Bhakti Bhava, the emotions, the mood of a devotee. And apani achari bhakti shikaimu sabhare. And I will teach everyone the science of Krishna consciousness. I will teach it to everyone. This is our duty, because we see the governments all over the world, they're teaching people to be materialists, and they want people to be slaves to their senses. Just like Rupa Goswami says, Kamadina katina katida palita durnidesha tesham jatamai nakaruna natrapa nopashanti. He says, I have become a slave to my senses. No. And they are so merciless. Nakaruna. They have no mercy. Natrapa. They have no consideration, and no pashanti, and they never leave me in peace. 24 hours a day. No, they are bothering me. Even in the sleep, the mind, is disturbing. And of course, if we're very Krishna conscious, maybe we'll think about Krishna while we're sleeping. And if we're very Krishna conscious, as Srila Prabhupada recommends here in the purport, then we will do everything for Krishna, and we will offer everything to Krishna. And something interesting he says in the purport. He says, Prithu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness, and he was very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. So this is the qualification of a leader, either a spiritual leader or even a governmental leader. They should be very, very anxious, because otherwise, as Prabhupada says, both of them will be doomed to lower species of life. Otherwise, the way society is set up, the modern society, what is it based on? Greed. Make people greedy. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami recommends greed. Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam. But what kind of greed? To be very greedy to that Krishna Bhakti Rasa, Bhavita. Be very greedy to have Krishna Bhakti Rasa. Yes, that greed is very good. But they're teaching everyone to be materially greedy. That's the whole society is based on greed. So, and to get to greed, kama, krodha, then when people are greedy, they're angry, they're lusty, and it just creates such a disturbance. And moha. The modern society recommends all of the 6 enemies of the mind. Illusion, be illusion. Go to the movies and sit there for 2 hours and watch someone's imagination. And then mada, alcohol, drugs. They recommend this. Now in the USA, they're legalizing this and that, this drug, that drug. And then because they have so much influence, people will start doing it everywhere. And matsarya, envy. When you promote greed, you promote envy. Just like it says here, one should give up all enviousness. So, but greed means envy. As soon as people become greedy, then they become envious of other people. Oh, this person has a better car than me. This person has a bigger house than me. Let me work very hard and I will have the biggest house. Even people who have crores and crores and crores of rupees or dollars or euros or whatever, they always want more. This is the disease of the material world. We're always lacking. Well, it doesn't matter if you have crores and crores and crores and crores. You're always thinking, I need more. I have to have more. Unless you're Krishna conscious. If you're Krishna conscious, you don't need anything. But you may try to acquire so many things for Krishna. A devotee personally atyahara prayasha. We don't want to eat or consume. We don't want to accumulate. Because these things are it's very difficult. Krishna says, near Yogakshema Atmavan, that one should not acquire things, because to acquire something is very difficult. And then to maintain it, Yogakshema, to maintain it, to keep it, is even more difficult. Just like people buy a car, it's all nice, new, everything works. Then after a few years, then you have to maintain it. You go to the mechanic, fix this, that, and then give it up. We acquire these things, we work so hard, and then you have to give it up, even more difficult. So, but to do that for Krishna, no, just like this temple, these deities, Srila Prabhupada worked hard along with the devotees so that this was all here. It's by his mercy. He worked very hard to create this Krishna consciousness movement. And he even worked harder to keep the Krishna consciousness movement together. He sacrificed so many things just so this movement would go on. And therefore we have this grave responsibility, every one of us, not to think of ourselves, but to think of this movement. Srila Prabhupada, just to come to the West and bring Krishna consciousness, he practically gave up his body. And just to print books in India when he first started to get the first Bhagavatams out, he was practically starving. We did a BBT program yesterday, and so in the program, Srila Prabhupada, the printer that was printing Prabhupada's first Bhagavatams, he said he did not have money to pay, and he would go out himself and sell magazines just to pay. And so the printer said, "Why are you doing all this?" And Prabhupada said, "Oh, it is my duty. My spiritual master has told me." So this is the motivation, just like Advaita Acharya says, that the active principle of Krishna consciousness is the order of the spiritual master. This is what motivates us. So for Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas, we are willing to do so much sacrifice. And to keep this Krishna consciousness movement together, we're willing to do so many things. So, Pitu Maharaj is recommending here, just like Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, yad yad acharati shrashta tat evetaro janaha sa sayad pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. That whatever a leader does, everyone will follow. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has ordered all of us to be leaders, the most important leader. That he said, Jari Dakatari Kaha Krishna Padesha Mara Gyaya Guru Hanya Adaridesh. Everyone must be Guru. That is the most important leader. And we all have that responsibility. Therefore, we have to act in such a way that will inspire others. Even if you're just working at a job or you have some business, do it in such a way that people will see the wonderful qualities of a Vaishnava. Savar gunais tatra samasate sura. A Vaishnava should have the qualities of the Devas, or of the most qualified person. This is our duty to do this. And so Pitu Maharaj is encouraging us. He's saying you will protect your own interests, meaning what is our interest? He is Swartagatim, he Vishnu. Prahlad Maharaj says self-interest means to worship Vishnu, to worship Krishna. That is the real self-interest. Not that self-interest means, because Self-interest means what is good for the soul, not what is good for the body. Of course, we have to take care of the body, but what is good for the soul, that is what we're interested in. And then you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death. Otherwise, Pito Maharaj is saying here, if you want to help your family members, if you want to help serve the leaders or whatever in society, the best thing to do is to be Krishna conscious. Then everyone will benefit. But if you're not Krishna conscious, no one will benefit. Everyone will go, as Srila Prabhupada says, to the lower species of life. So these are some thoughts on this verse. I'll stop here. Any questions, comments, complaints?
Hare Krishna. Thanks for the nice class. Just introspecting on Srila Prabhupada's purport, isn't it practically impossible these days for both the head of the state and the praja to be in Krishna consciousness, leave alone a grihastha or an organization? Even if by remote possibility, if either of them is Krishna consciousness, how does the laws of material nature will work on either of them?
Well, Prabhupada says it's very difficult. Just like one time, Srila Prabhupada was talking about following the four regulated principles. So one devotee said, Prabhupada, it's so difficult for people to follow these principles. Some people see it as impossible. Just like the viceroy of Shetland, when Prabhupada's godbrother went to England, he said, "Can you make me a Brahmin?" He was stationed here in India, and so he said, "Yes, I can do that." Okay, what do I have to do? You follow the four regulated principles. He said, "Impossible." So then Prabhupada said, "Yes, it is impossible." Devotees, maybe I only have to follow two, 2.5. And then Prabhupada said, but by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it has become possible. So, by the mercy of Krishna consciousness, these things are impossible. Varnashram is impossible. To change the course of society, to change the course of the world is impossible. But in 1974, there was big tension between India and Pakistan. And practically speaking, all India was shipping all the soldiers to the border. It looked like there was going to be war. Prabhupada said there will be a war. And Russia will join with India and US will join with Pakistan. He said that. And even later he said, but the US will win because they have In God We Trust on their money. But then next year, the devotee said, Prabhupada, there was no war. And Prabhupada said, yes, Krishna has changed his mind because we are distributing these books because of the Sankirtan movement. So even though there, how many people are there in Hyderabad? Maybe 8 million, 10 million. How many? 15 million. And how many are here in the temple? Like a few hundred. Maybe we have 1,000 devotees, 1,500. So we think, how will we change? How will we change these people? But one devotee distributes 100 books or 200 books. That means 1 person is changing the life of 200 people. And the congregational devotees, if they also distribute books, sets of Bhagavatam, etc., then 1,500 devotees can change millions. Every time we give a book, we're changing someone's life. They may not change immediately, but they will change at some point. So by doing Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, prasadam distribution, all these things we're doing. And people are changing. So then, therefore, the impossible becomes possible. The difficult becomes it becomes doable. So yes, Prabhupada also said, don't be surprised who leaves Krishna consciousness, be surprised who stays. Otherwise, Krishna consciousness is not easy. It's a difficult thing to do. But by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it becomes easy. So that's my suggestion. Any other questions? Well, no more questions? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, I have heard that anyone in a leadership position like parents or teachers or kings or executive heads of the state, so one thing they should do is to set an example and also institute some education and training and then provide ambience and facility for the subordinates to flourish and grow in the good culture. At the same time, we find even after doing all these things, we find that people are adamantly attached to their conditionings, and people refuse to get uplifted even with the best of the ambience and facilities and training and education, all these things. So one thing that put me to surprise when I read about Ambarish Maharaj's kingdom, I heard that all the citizens, they were like this Adokshaja Diya. Their intelligence was posted in the spiritual world. They didn't even aspire for heavenly planets. So I wanted to know how these kings could have such a massive effect on, the mass of people. Because we find even after providing the best, people don't very easily come out of their shell. How they could do that?
Well, because especially in the case of Prithu Maharaj, he's Shakti Vaishavatar. He's empowered by the Lord to, but how did Srila Prabhupada and how is Srila Prabhupada still influencing millions and millions of people? It's the potency, the Shakti. When someone is very Krishna conscious and very desirous of giving Krishna consciousness to others, then that influence it just magnifies more and more and more. So we have these examples. One may say, I'm not Prabhupada, I'm just little so-and-so das or dasi. So what can I do? What we can do, what Srila Prabhupada never thought that he was something special. Actually, Prabhupada said many times, I have no qualification. But when you actually feel that in your heart, I have no qualification, I just follow the orders of my spiritual master, then you can convert millions of people to Krishna consciousness. If you really believe that, my only qualification, Yogeta vichari kichu nahi pai, tomara karuna sara. You are my qualification. You are the essence of my existence. If we believe that, then we can have a great impact. Just like Radheshyam Prabhu, he's influencing so many people by his Krishna consciousness here. And this is how Krishna consciousness works, or this is how spirituality is spread. Because just like even in religions that aren't so evolved, I see that when people have some Shakti, actually people want to be Krishna conscious. They want religion. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Pratipanam Purnamritas Vadhanam. At every step, everyone is looking for nectar, which means everyone is looking for Krishna. not just a devote. For us, that verse means that at every moment, I want to be more Krishna conscious. But even for ordinary people, they're looking for material happiness. But looking for material happiness means they're really looking for Krishna. So when we give Krishna consciousness in an intelligent way, then we can influence so many people because it's actually what they're looking for. There'll be a few demoniac people that will oppose, but generally everyone, generally the whole population of the world are decent people. Just like you go to China, the people are wonderful. There's a few leaders that are not so nice, but the people in general are very nice. So, but demoniac leaders are so expert in their propaganda that they make a whole country seem like it's bad. Even Germany, Nazi Germany, the majority of the people weren't bad. They were just influenced by a very negative force, but they weren't bad people. And so, and what to speak of India? India, naturally people are inclined to religion, spirituality. Sometimes it's all a little mixed up, but they're inclined to that. And if we just teach them how to be Krishna conscious, then people will take it up as they are doing. And we just have to be, every one of us has to take up that responsibility to spread Krishna consciousness. Everyone I meet, in my work, in my school, in my, everyone I meet, try to give them, think about it. How can I give them Krishna consciousness? Maybe I can bring 100 sweets to school and give it out to everybody, or to work, to wait for some special day, like some India Independence Day or something. Oh, let's celebrate here. I brought some cookies for everyone or whatever. And then everybody takes one and they become more Krishna conscious. So the devotee is always thinking like that. How can I, just like it says here, Prithu Maharaj was very anxious to give Krishna consciousness. We have to be very anxious. It means even in the most ordinary walk of life, you can find some way to give Krishna consciousness to hundreds of people, even thousands. So I think I'll have to stop here because I have to leave in a short while. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Maharaj ki jai.